about payroll though is having to do quarterly taxes.
Oh man, brutal.
If there is anything that you wanted to de-incentivize, just throw a quarterly tax on it.
Oh, it's so true. It's such a disaster. And honestly, like payroll should be one of the most simplest things ever. Like what there doesn't need to be much involved between the person who's paying and the person who's getting. Like
Right.
that the fact that they overcomplicate this tells you everything you need to know about what the government's goals are.
I know. Gosh, man. Yeah. If
It's
it was
so
unclear
ridiculous.
what the goals of the government were at this point,
Man. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say.
yeah. I love AD the trustworthy. I don't know if anyone can see this on the live stream, but you can
Yeah.
put in your own names. AD put AD the trustworthy.
That's right. I always try to put different names, you know?
Yeah, you keep it fresh. Keep it
AD doing the best I can, AD the trustworthy, AD the wise.
yes. I can tell what kind of mood he is in depending on how he names himself for the day.
AD the seriously depressed and despairing.
Well, welcome to Reformed Jellicle, where the Reformed and Evangelicals meet. My name is Matt Williams, co-hosted by AD the Trustworthy.
Yes,
AD, how you
yes,
doing
sir.
today? Are you up or down?
I'm
Tell
up
with this
and
mood.
I'm
All right.
I'm up and I'm feeling trustworthy.
That's good. That's good.
And I'm hoping- I don't
Trustworthy
know-
can go both ways.
That's very true. I'm hoping we get comments today. I don't know, man. We've been kicked off everything, right?
Yeah, it was weird. We got kicked off of YouTube last time. I forgot exactly what we were talking about, but I did still see the episode on there for people to go back and watch it, and I couldn't find out where it cut off. So it cut off at 8 hour or at 8:15, and then we got no more comments. People said they lost it, and then they went to Twitter. But then you go back and you look at the recording, and I like tried to skim through it because I hate listening to myself.
Yeah.
And I couldn't see where they cut off, so it was very weird.
That's weird. I remember at one point I had said Russell Moore was on the gay team. I can't imagine they like that.
Yeah, yeah. So probably we're not going to have any more comments for the rest of the show either. The gay team.
That's too bad.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. They're at it again with censoring. I don't know if you saw this one, but they're starting to censor Ron DeSantis.
Oh yeah, I saw that one. Yes, so not only did they censor him, a sitting governor of a state in our United States,
Right.
but also didn't he have like a panel of experts, like scientists talking about things?
Yeah, they were talking about COVID and the whole thing that was going on with their state and whatnot. And the social media and the big tech companies decided they didn't like it, and so they cut them off.
What's amazing about this is like, everyone's always like follow the science, whatever. But obviously scientists will have arguments and they'll have papers. And in fact, I remember talking to atheists saying that this was one of the benefits of science, that like it's never really settled. You can always fix it and change it and get better. But apparently not, because big tech already knows the answer. So it's like, big tech is actually. So think about this for a second. Big tech knows which scientists to censor and which not to, which means that big tech is above the scientists. So it's like big tech is even smarter than the smartest scientists because they know how to decipher between the real scientists and the fake scientists, or maybe they're still real, but they're wrong. So big tech is really the standard. Like they're the god of gods, apparently.
Yeah, no, they're white. They're white scientists. We can't have those opinions whatsoever.
Well, I guess that's a whole other matter.
Yeah, and I know you work with tech, and I've worked with tech in the past, and that's exactly how they think anyways, that they're better than everyone else. So
Of
it's
course.
not that far of a stretch.
Very,
whatsoever.
very, very true.
Yeah, but it's just interesting because obviously it's not a surprise that they're censoring Ron DeSantis because, they did it with the president. I mean, they kicked him off while he was in office.
Yeah.
But it is just an interesting data point to track with how fast this is going to start to go, because why stop at one governor? And then it's going to be senators, it's going to be other governors, and soon there's only going to be a platform for the approved message by the tech companies.
Right. Nothing happened. All that happens is, some Republicans wring their hands. Oh, we got to rein in big tech, but nothing ever actually happens. So they're just going to keep going. I mean, and the thing that's stupid about this is it's not a slippery slope thing, because they started with the most powerful person in the planet. So they jumped off the cliff already. Like there's no slippery slope. They pushed us off the cliff. Right. So they started with the president. So who wouldn't they do this to? And why would they ever stop?
Right. Yeah, exactly right.
In fact, if I was on the liberal team, I wouldn't want them to stop. I'd be like, yeah, of course. If I was on team communist, keep doing it. I mean, it keeps working. They're never going to push back. They're never doing anything to us. There's no repercussions whatsoever. Just keep going. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, right. Exactly right. I mean, they're achieving their goals, so why stop? I'm really excited. We are getting YouTube comments right now in the section. So YouTube has not cut us off for 80s gay comment.
Not
so
yet,
we'll see.
Anyway.
How many times can you say gay before they kick us off our stream?
You just gotta say it close to like good. Like if you say good, gay, good, Matt, I like talking to you, Matt. Like, see, then they'll be like, oh, it'll trick the algorithm, you see, because they'll think, oh, so they're approved. That's good.
That's good, gay.
Did you see that really good video that I made about those two gay Christians? It was a good video. I didn't even say anything in it. I just let them speak because they had the floor. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just got to give the gay people the floor to get a good video out.
That's right. That's right. Speaking of that video, AD, I tried to watch that video 3 times.
The full one, right?
The full video. I've tried to watch it 3 times. And because I think what you did is hilarious and I love it. But I'm so disgusted by the gay good guys that I can't even finish it. And so I go back because I know it's funny and I want to see how it ends. But then I start listening to them and it infuriates me so much. I have to stop, walk away. I've literally tried to watch it 3 times. Can't pull it off.
Marcus messaged me. He was trying to watch. He watched mine and he was saying how crazy it was. And then he said he couldn't even watch the actual full video because it just was too insane.
Yeah. It's too infuriating.
Yeah, it really is. And it's like, and I know I did a decent job with that video. I was laughing myself at it because it's just too funny. And like, honestly, like I lucked out with some of the editing on that because that was the second video I did that day. I only had like a short amount of time to do it. And I lucked out with where I paused sometimes because you could see the guy like just like looking at him like so like lovingly. And I saw that where I paused it, I was like, oh, that's perfect. And then I put the hearts, you know.
Man. I have to say this though, the part that was infuriating to me was not the good gay part. It was the fact that they're claiming to be Christians and that they're being pastors. Absolutely. Like if you were just 2 gay dudes good gay dudes that you were talking about. Not even care. It's the fact that they're claiming the name of Christ. It's so disgusting. It's seriously disgusting.
It really is. And actually, so I did listen to a majority of the full video. It's like an hour and a half long. I have not listened to the whole thing, so I don't know how it ends. But what's amazing about it is it sounds to me, I don't know if this is what they've done because I don't know them and I don't care. But it sounds to me like they read a pretty decent book about marriage and like how to solve conflict in a marriage. Mm-hmm. And then replaced all the parts where it says your wife or your husband with your gay friend and your ally. Because some of the advice about solving conflicts is actually decent. Mm-hmm. But then you step back and you're like, yeah, but dude, this is just like your friend. Like this is not the same thing as a marriage. Like when I'm solving a conflict with my buddy, it's not like when I'm solving a conflict with my wife. You know what I mean? It's very different.
Very
and what's amazing about it is like the advice is decent. So I think that's probably what they did do. They read a decent book about marriage and then they just replaced everything with their friendship. And it's just crazy, man. It's just so crazy. So that is infuriating because it's confusing to some kinds of people because the advice is decent, but then it's all in the context of this boyfriend relationship that they're treating like a marriage. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And think of all the people that they're actually pastoring.
Yeah. Pastoring, influencing, leading the guy. I mean, they're youth ministers, right?
Yeah.
My goodness gracious. Like it's just so infuriating in so many ways. And in one hand, they're talking about this perversion, just a perversion of a friendship. And then the next sentence, they're like, oh, and we just pray together so much. And it's like, dude, what are you okay, that's good that you pray with a Christian, but the thing is you're doing this in the context of that's your boyfriend there that you're treating like your husband. It's not
it's
good.
An abomination.
It's not good. Exactly. Yeah. It's exactly. So like if you're praying with your boyfriend and you live together and even if I believe them about there being no physical part of their relationship, which I don't, but even if I did, it would still be an abominable situation. It would be an abomination.
Right. Yep, absolutely. And you think back of like our era where the dramatic thing was like the purity culture and how many people had issues from that. Just imagine how many people are watching this and like thinking that these abominations are good, the damage that's going to come from this. It's going to be bad. It's going to be bad.
It's so crazy. And then in the full video too, Matt, you know, and I don't want to talk about this the whole time, but we can if you want to. I don't care. But like in the full video, the gay one admits that he thinks he's attractive, that he has feelings for him. He feels like, you know, sometimes he's falling in love with him. And I just keep thinking to myself, like, this is so insane. Mm-hmm. And then earlier in the video, this is the other thing that's so disgusting about this. So earlier in the video, the gay one is like, he's like, one day I just told all my Christian friends, like, don't call me brother unless you mean it. Like, unless I'm actually your family, don't call me brother. And it's like, okay, I get that. Like, okay, fine. If you have like family attachment issues, okay, that's fine. He doesn't want to be called brother the way I would call you brother, Matt. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He wants it to mean like a real brother. Okay, fine. But then he's like, we're brothers. All while he's talking about how he's also has romantic feelings for it. So it's just this disgusting combination of so many things. It's just perverting so many different things. Even like the familial brother relationship is perverted in this video. It's so gross.
Yep. Yeah. Right. And I think that's a great case in point of sin can never be compartmentalized.
That's so right.
It's going to pollute and destroy everything, even when you don't think it will. It's going to infect every area of your life.
What I noticed about the video too, it's just like, so there's even things in the video that they're not like bad in and of themselves. Like there's nothing wrong with a guy liking a good cup of tea, right? There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with tea. Tea is a totally legitimate drink.
Right.
But like, I think pretty much every American would agree that if given the choice between coffee and tea is the girlier one. So of course they meet for tea every day and it's delightful. So it's like even the stuff that's totally fine, like it's not like a problem at all. They choose the gayest option.
The gayest
option they could possibly
choose.
Of
course. It's just like transsexuals, and this is going to get us kicked off YouTube, I bet. Transsexuals, they choose the extremes of everything to prove the point. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, that's exactly right. In fact, I think that's intentional. They're trying to do it as extreme and as crazy as possible. In fact, even like this, I used to live with a guy, one of my friends. He was a very close friend of mine. I lived with him for a few years, and we'd hang out all the time, right? Like even after we moved out of the same apartment, because we, in New York, you have to have a roommate. You can't afford it otherwise. Mm-hmm. So like we still hung out like all the time, almost every weekend. We'd meet for dinner or whatever, and like. There's nothing there's nothing weird about that. People have friends, but it's like in the video, like they talk about it as if you talk about a relationship. You date a girl. It's like we spent every weekend together, the whole weekend, and we would have dinner, and it was just amazing. Like every description was exactly how I would describe, having a date with a girl. Mm-hmm. So they do it, and I know that's not accidental because when you're just hanging out with someone. I was just hanging out with someone. That's how, you hung out with Ellie last night? Yeah, I hung out with him. We hung out, we went out, had a few drinks, whatever. Like, we didn't describe it the way I would describe a date. You know what I mean? They do it intentionally to just push the envelope as far as they can, just to slap you in the face with it.
Yeah. It's terrible.
And then we
Absolutely
had tea
terrible.
the next day.
Ugh, yeah. Loose leaf tea. It was good gay. Okay, Jacob, thank you for letting me know my mic is quieter. I try to fix it because here's a little inside baseball. I record my shows quieter and then post-production I turn them up. And AD just has a louder mic. And so I try to match it. I now can match now we're recording them separate, so I'll be able to do it in post-production. You said the sounded terrible in podcast.
It always sounds good to me, which is weird. I don't understand.
I know, it sounds great to me.
It always sounds good to me.
There's been shows where it sounded great to us, and then like my sound is just not even recorded, and I don't even know how that happened. That was early on. That was Baby Reformgelical. But thank you for letting me know. If you guys have any issues with sound or video, let us know, because sometimes we don't even notice it. Just got off the live chat with Cross Politic. They're like live streaming every day now. They're really fired up about this Canada thing, man.
Well, they should be, man. That's just ridiculous.
They should be. Yeah, I love it. Every one of us was fired up. You did a show fired up about it. I did a show. Cross Politics done like 6 shows about it. Marcus was like live reporting with a reporter on the scene.
Yeah, I saw that
Did
one.
you see that? That was
Yeah, I
good.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone's fired up except Russell Moore and the ERLC.
Wait, whoa, dude. What? No, he's the Ethics and Religious Liberties Commission. Like that. This is his thing. You've got to be exaggerating.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
What has he really said?
I was so curious about if he said anything about it. I went to the advanced search on our Reformgelical Twitter and I searched James Coates or Calgary. I'd take the state of
Just
whatever.
the entire state.
Did you mention anything about
city,
the weather? Dr. Moore.
If you ever mentioned the city in your entire history.
No, they have not mentioned Calgary once in their stream. Oh my gosh.
This is so ridiculous. It's like, I just can't even fathom. Like, do you think he even like feels a little bit like a fraud? Because even though he's obviously a communist, like
he is a communist, yes.
Obviously he's a communist. Like we get that, but like even like villains, you know, sometimes you see in the movie, like they'll have a moment when they realize, like, I don't know, I'm just an awful guy. You know what I mean? Look themselves in the mirror. What have I become?
Right.
You know?
Yeah. No,
I don't think he does.
No, he's just selling his books, he's slinging his little podcast, his more, little, memes card he has.
Oh, gosh.
That's it. I looked down at his Twitter, which I only look at for this show. I'm not on Twitter for anything else. And it's seriously just book review, The Courage to Stand, has a little cup of coffee and a pen next to his book and his picture. Then he's talking with the, apostate Tim Keller. Like, it's just, and more to the point, little newsletter that's, hello, fellow wayfarers. I apologize for being a day late on this issue, just in time for Holy Week. We have Satan Shoes, the empty tune explaining your life, a question about productivity, songs and bookshelves. This is this week's more to the point.
Oh, man.
You are the caricature of just the worst of Christianity, dude. It's like Reformed Joel Osteen.
I just went to his website, or the ERLC's website. How can Christians resist the ethic of outrage culture? So, everyone's outraged about, a church being seized by a Western government. But the real problem is that you're outraged. That's the real problem.
Seriously.
The fact that you went on Twitter and talked about it, that's the real problem.
Like, there's literally 2 fences surrounding a church in the Northern Hemisphere, and they don't say a word about it.
No, Matt.
What is the
that's
point?
That's not important. What we really need to know is how you can engage in conversations about vaccine hesitancy. That's what's really important. Oh, actually, Matt, forget it. Check that. What's really important is, quote, this article that's called this, quote, can robots provide human care? There you go. That's it. Can robots? That's what we need in our lives as Southern Baptists. We need to pay millions of dollars into an organization that will post articles. Can robots provide human care?
Oh, it's, forget Dr. Moore. I hate even calling him a doctor. But I mean, I guess
he's earned it.
What's your YouTube friend's name? Doctor.
Oh yeah, Dr. Common Sense.
If Dr. Common Sense can be a doctor.
I guess Russell Moore can be a doctor.
That's Russell Moore can be a doctor. But forget him having some kind of conscience or some gut check. But what about the 20 people that like his show every week, or the people that actually pay the ERLC? Do they ever have like shame, second guessing? Do they ever feel a little good gay about supporting this guy? I mean, come on.
I just don't know. Just don't know. It's really pathetic. It's really pathetic. It
really is. It's so pathetic.
It's comical at this point almost. It's just like, what more does he have to do before you stop giving him money? He'll get his money. He'll be fine. The commies pay pretty well, until they kill you. But for the time they'll pay well. He'll be fine. He'll land on his feet.
Yeah.
He probably has a position waiting for him in the Biden administration.
Yeah, he'll probably get some book deal from one of those liberal book places.
Of course.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. somebody gave me just the biggest stage fright. They have us on their big screen TV. Edward put us on his big TV.
Oh,
I hate the idea of us being on a big screen TV.
Hey man, nah, this is what I'm talking about. This is the big time.
Oh my goodness. I saw a post from United Church of Canada today. He doesn't deserve the title of Reverend Doctor.
I don't know who that is.
What that's referencing.
Must
Sorry,
be
I'm not up to date with
something?
Canada politics, except they're a bunch of fascists now. Fascist.
Listen, I like Canadians.
communists.
I know a lot of good Canadians, and a lot of Canadians watch my YouTube channel. I like Canadians, but man, we need more people to just be willing to just open up their churches and in a loud way, so everybody knows it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the way to forward here. I think you got to get this guy's back, open up your church, and force their hands. And if they choose to arrest you all, then so be it. They're going to be the Western country that put the kibosh on the church quickest. The first, they'll lose that PR battle. I think. I don't think they would do it anyway. They think they would do nothing. They would lose their nerve, but they might and still do it because that's the right thing to do.
Yeah. And it's the thing that's going to slow down and stop this train from running off the tracks. Because if there's no pushback, just like what we've been saying forever with masks and then social distancing, and then 15 days is slow to spread, which we're way past the 1 year anniversary, is if you don't push back and if you don't fight back, they're just going to keep going. There's no brakes on the communist train.
It's just none. They'll just keep doing. And again, like it's just like that movie, The Bug's Life. They'll make an example out of Coates because he's just one man, and his church is just one church. With 50 people, 100 people, they can deal with that. They can make an example of 100 people, but when it's thousands of people, or even more than that, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, they lose their nerve very quick, quick. I think that especially in Canada, they would not do a darn thing about it. And even if they did, it would be worth it. That would be an epic story, man. Think about the example that would be for the church. You know what I mean? And people always Canada has a reputation of sort of being like, United States younger brother, like a junior United States. But man, you guys could actually lead in this, man. You really could. You could be a tremendous example for Christ. It would be a tremendous witness for Christ to say, nope, we're not allowing this. We're going to worship Christ. It would be a tremendous witness. Plus, it's the right thing to do. Christ commands it. So it's not even like it's a question like, some people always say, well, was it right for Bonhoeffer to do that thing he did with Hitler? Like, was it right? Well, okay, it's debatable, whatever. But going to church isn't debatable. That's an easy thing. This is a great thing. You could do amazing things for the church in general, and as far as encouraging people and being a witness, and it's definitively the right thing to do. Worship God on Sunday. There's no room for negotiation there. That is definitely the right thing. You don't have to play these games. Was Bonhoeffer right or wrong? Was the Revolutionary War right or wrong? It's totally debatable. Who cares about that debate? Just go to church. That's all I'm asking. I'm not saying pick up a rifle. I'm not saying, you lie to the government to avoid paying taxes. All of those are questionable. I get it. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do them or should do them. I'm just saying they're questionable. What I am saying, though, it's definitively beyond all doubt that the right thing to do on Sunday is to worship God the way he's prescribed to be worshiped.
Yeah.
Worshipped.
Amen to that. Worshipped, for sure. Someone asked in the comments, I think it was Nathaniel, do you guys think taking down the walls would be acceptable, being that it's church property? I know the Cross Politic guy said to do that.
Yeah, I think that would be acceptable and deal with the consequences, because the thing is, like, doing something that's your right to do doesn't mean it won't be without consequences. Right. So I think that would be totally acceptable. They can definitely do that if they'd like. Or they could not. I don't think they have to. I don't think they're required, but they're definitely within their rights to do it and go have church.
Yeah. I think at the very least, they should show up and be singing worship like it's the walls of Jericho and just being on the outside of it.
Yeah. That's how I envisioned it in my mind. That's how I envisioned it in my mind, like being around the fences. Yeah. But yeah.
But I have to say, like, in this day and age that we live in, I'm like pulling myself back from it's insane to go in full charge because
I know.
I think that like it's really hard, and obviously we talk to thousands of people, so we have to be responsible and stuff. But we just have to be wise, and like you said, even if it's the right thing, there's going to be consequences with fighting battles, like real war battles. It could be the right thing to do. It doesn't mean you're not going to get killed, and it doesn't mean there's not going to be casualties. So you really need to be in prayer. Make sure that you are seeking God and doing it for His glory, and making sure that you are not in your flesh, because like you have to calculate these things. It's not just a joke. It's not a video game. This is real life, and I'm thankful for this stuff in a way, because we've talked about this before. I don't think it was for the context of this at all, though. But for a long time, it's felt like we've just been living in a video game where it's easy. There's no real life consequences. And we're getting to a point where we're going to have to start making some hard decisions where we could be in prison for a couple months. We are going to be having to protect ourselves, in various different ways. So I like that in a sense, because it's going to drive us closer to Christ and really depend on Him more. So I'm thankful for that.
I would say pastors and churches need to build up their war chests a little bit here, because you need to prepare for those situations where potentially you could end up in prison for a month or two, unable to provide your family with income. So build up your war chest so that they're good to go in case something were to happen. You got to prepare for these eventualities, because when the moment comes, the last thing you want to be tempted by is, well, my family won't be provided for. Of course they will, because God will provide for them. But that temptation could be really real for a male, for a man with a family. So you want to avoid that being the temptation, so that you're not making a decision based on fear, and instead you're making a decision based on what's the right thing to do in the moment. It's insane to be thinking in this way, but it just has to be done. It has to be done. And like you said, Matt, you have to be calculating about it. You've got to count the cost. You've got to be prepared. It can't be just a while, like in a video game where you have an extra life. You can continue anytime. It doesn't really matter if you go, guns blazing, because you'll be back. Like you need a plan. You need a plan for this exact kind of thing. And now's the time, man. Now's the time, because this is so insane. And the fact that there's a lot of sissy churches out there that are like, oh, he should have obeyed the order. Like, forget them. Those are pagans. Those are unbelievers. So just, if you're a believer, then you do it. That means that falls on you. The mantle is now on your head. You know what I mean? So you have church on Sunday. Forget all the pagans. Let them do what they're going to do. If they worship the state, let them worship the state. There's nothing you can do about it. Right. You just follow God. Doesn't matter what they do.
And that's what those gods above them.
Amen. That's what that brother in Calgary needs right now. He needs to see that this was not in vain. You know what I mean? And it's not. He knows it's not. Even if nobody joins him, he would still probably do it, and the whole church would probably still do it, even if nobody joins him. But man, it would be great if some people joined them.
Right.
You know what I mean? It sure would be nice.
Yeah, and I say count the cost and be wise, and that's not me saying don't do anything. That's the exact opposite. That's foolish. That's more foolish than charging ahead and just seeing what the Lord will do, in my opinion, of just sitting back and being a coward and not taking steps to do what God has called us to do. So I definitely am not discouraging people from not doing anything, because this is just the first step. It's not going to stop there. This isn't going to be the only battle. There's going to be future battles. Exactly. And I have a feeling that even in places like Florida, which will probably be one of the last places to have these kinds of issues, certain counties and states in Florida still have these kinds of things, but we all need to be thinking through what this looks like and then have a plan of attack. Because, like, for example, even just going to and having worship outside the church, around the gates, what a great contrast of just declaring that, the building isn't the church, we're the church, and you're not going to stop us from worshiping. And let all of those security guards and let all those police officers and those news reporters capture it, and just be embarrassed about what they're doing and shamed, if they really are. I don't know. Yep. We'll see about
absolutely that. And the thing is, plan ahead for this, because there's going to be more opportunities. This is a great opportunity on Sunday for people in Canada and people in the surrounding areas. It's a great opportunity, but there will be more opportunities. So see it coming. Don't be foolish and not do anything now. Plan ahead for it. Plan
Right.
ahead for it so that you're ready to go and you're not worried about your kids or your wife when the time comes. You know what I mean? Like plan ahead. That's the smart thing to do. But then look for these opportunities, man. This is, I mean, to be counted worthy, to be arrested, to have your building seized, to have your, whatever it is they're going to do next. I'm sure they're going to do something. To be counted worthy to do that is a great honor. And so you should take it as a great honor.
For sure. Yeah, you should. To be able to have the opportunity to suffer like Christ, like that is the highest honor we could have as Christians, I think. And I think the Bible kind of speaks to that as well. Even giving crowns for being a martyr. So, and then, okay. So Mary brings up a really good point in the comments talking about the Polish pastor that yelled, "Get out" to the health official and then the police officers that are with him. And along with that, 2 days later after that story went viral, that was for Good Friday, they came to try to close down the church. There was another video of a mom and a baby who had a restaurant where the patrons of the restaurant, it was a full restaurant, no masks, were yelling, "Get out" as well. And I don't think it was coincidence that they were chanting the same things. And I think that somebody or a group of them saw what happened with the Polish pastor and started shouting just like he did.
Yep.
Which is a really interesting thing when you think about, because we always talk about how politics is downstream from culture, but also the shows and what we've been saying before is that culture is downstream from religion, even secular religion. Whatever you believe is going to determine your culture, which then will determine who rules you. So I don't think that these two stories are isolated from their response to James Coates either. I think that the reason they came with these two gates as they were seeing the rebellion start to form with the Polish pastor, with the restaurant shouting down the police officers. I believe they were completely in different areas, but it was not lost on the people in Canada that are trying to control the situation that they need to make a statement. And so too, I don't think that this is going to be the last battle either.
No.
And so that we need to be thinking through what are our appropriate responses. Do we continue to shout, "Get out"? I think we do.
Yeah.
Do we continue to line up and show up when the fencing comes up to our churches? I think we do.
Yep.
So those are all things that we are going to need to get comfortable with and have an answer and response ready to go, because we'll just be more effective that way than just winging it.
It's just like the fiery furnace, man. You have to go into it with the expectation that God is going to provide a way for you, but with enough resolve to say, even if he doesn't, I'm doing it anyway. So good luck with whatever you want to do. You know what I mean? So I'm confident that God's gonna save me here. But if he doesn't, it makes no difference. I'm not gonna bow down to whatever it is you want me to bow down to. That's nonsense. And I think you're right, Matt. It's not the end. There's definitely more of this stuff coming. Don't worry about the shameful believers in Canada who aren't doing jack about this. Don't worry about them. Don't pay them any mind. That's not for you. Those people, there's probably some real believers amongst them, but they're going to have their come to Jesus moment. They're going to have to figure out what's more important to them, the crown or Christ. They're going to have to decide. And right now they're deciding very poorly. That doesn't mean they're going to be there forever. So it's not like goodbye forever, but you just have to leave them behind. If that's how it's going to be, that's how it's going to be. But you have to obey Christ yourself. You're responsible for yourself.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, there's that verse where Jesus says, like, I came to turn mother against daughter, father against son. And we love to spiritualize that because the actuality of it is kind of like heartbreaking, and it's not really a catchy message for people, but we're going to be experiencing that and have experienced that into some degree. Edward, who, thank you for your service, he said he served in Vietnam, said that those two churches are within 50 miles of each other. I had no idea, but that doesn't surprise me at all.
Did not know that. Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me. So it's the same municipalities. And so that's definitely, in my opinion, connected for sure, because they're trying to make a statement, because they don't want these things to go viral and look like they've lost control. Because as soon as the facade is over, that they don't have control and the people really do have the power, then it's over. The whole house of cards falls down.
Hey, don't worry. Gospel Coalition Canada has some hard-hitting articles like The Art of Lament, The Third Use of the Law from John Calvin. Let's see. Godly Conservation. Conversation. Okay, Godly Conversation. That's good. Resurrection Changes Ministry Math. What is that supposed to mean? I don't know what that's supposed to mean. It's the resurrection means that you can have a big church or a small church. It doesn't matter. How about just a church? Like a church that actually meets. Like, is that part of the gospel, or is that maybe that's off limits in Canada? I don't know. But whatever.
Yeah. And seriously, I was so proud. I think I was more proud of our network and our group of podcasts than I've ever been before for anything, because we all spoke out about it and we just knew it was something we had to do. And
we didn't even talk about it. There was no even talk about it.
Exactly. Like there's no communication behind the scenes of what we should or shouldn't talk about.
Weirdly.
There's been a few times where Gabe has been like, hey, dude, you're completely wrong and an idiot. But there's never been like a pre-screened or like pre-planned schedule of the topics we're going to discuss.
No.
But these big institutional Christian thought leaders, quote unquote, the people that are supposed to be leading the church from a parachurch perspective, silent. Crickets. But yet we had the I don't know what it is, just the common sense. I don't even want to say it's anything more than that. It's just the obviousness of it that we need to speak out about this. We need to rally people to call the local areas, to call the companies supporting this and push back. But no one else is doing it. And so I've never been more thankful for us group of guys for doing that. I'm just done patting myself.
Well, I'm very happy to be part of these guys, and just trying to. I'm so sorry. I'm a little distracted. I just typed in Coates into Gospel Coalition Canada. They did write about him on March 23rd.
Oh, what did they say about him on March 23rd?
I don't know. 10 things you should know about the release of Pastor James Coates. I have no idea. I'm not going to read it. Why would I read that? Unreal. March 23rd. That's the last time they wrote about him. Okay.
Yeah. And it's like, it's not
Worthless.
just one dude. It's not just him having a public feud with the local municipality. This is the current of the time. This is where our world is heading. This is a new era that was being ushered in. We're like entering into these communist times where religion is being squashed out as much as possible through regulations in the name of health for a number of different reasons. And they're not saying a damn word about it. Where are you guys?
The salt has lost its saltiness. They have together become worthless. That's where they're at.
That's where they're at. Perfect. Un-Canadian, which I don't know. Does that mean you are Canadian?
I think he might be Canadian, even though his name is Un-Canadian.
Yeah. Are you both auditioning for Canadian Cross Politic now? This is how uncoordinated the network is. I found out that there was even a Fight Laugh Feast Canada network on one of the live streams they did this week.
I didn't even know that just until just now.
Yeah. Apparently there's a Fight Laugh Feast Canada.
Awesome. That's cool, man.
Is there a Cross Politic Canada? I do know a lot about hockey. I think I would fit right in.
I love hockey.
I love hockey too. It's the only sport I watch anymore, quite honestly.
I don't even watch it, but I just still do love it. It's great.
Oh, dude, I love it, dude. My kid loves it. He's going to be a great hockey player. I can't wait to spend all my money getting him through college.
That's I remember when I was a kid, I had to play roller hockey because we couldn't afford every pad for ice hockey.
Yeah, dude.
Roller hockey's way cheaper.
I was so poor. We would go into the dumpster next to the roller rink, skating rink, where they would throw away worn down sticks. So it'd be like really skinny blades.
Oh yeah,
and we would take those and use those.
Yep, I remember. I'd have my sticks until it was nothing. Like you couldn't even do anything.
Yeah. Your blades would go down to 2 wheels because you couldn't afford the 4, and so you put them on the far end.
Absolutely, put them on the far end, and you rotate them like back and forth so that that was me.
You would hope a bearing wouldn't get all rusted and a wheel wouldn't turn. And
that was the worst.
Oh man, those are good times though.
Those were great times, man. That was a lot of fun. Some people play in the Sandlot. I used to play in the tennis courts, roller hockey.
Yes. Oh yeah. It's great. 'Cause, who cares about tennis?
Yeah, exactly.
So this is interesting. We've been talking a lot about Bitcoin late and digital currencies, and Peter Thiel just came out and had an interesting theory. This might even qualify for a conspiracy theory segment.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, from Peter Thiel. Which, do you think Rod Martin still talks to him?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I wonder because Peter Thiel's a gay guy, right? I think he's gay.
I mean, who is
most
these days?
most billionaire, yeah. Which billionaire isn't right about this time? I have a side note after this. But anyways, he was saying that he would not be surprised if the Chinese are financially weaponizing Bitcoin against the United States.
Interesting.
Because it hurts the dollar, and they're doing everything they can to devalue the dollar now, which is really interesting for a number of reasons. But what do you think about that?
Well, listen, I don't know if it's true. I think that there is definitely potential for some nefarious purposes behind Bitcoin, and China would make sense, of course, as they're the perennial enemy these days. So that would be interesting. I mean, it definitely is a black mark, I guess you could say, on the dollar. So yeah, maybe. Has China done anything regarding
excited about conspiracy times?
Oh yeah. Has China done anything in terms of Bitcoin? Like, is it banned in China? Like, or do they just ignore it?
I don't know if it's banned. I know it very well could be banned, though.
I mean, they ban everything, so it wouldn't be unusual. But like, I wonder what China's doing with Bitcoin. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is interesting. I don't know. It's going to be really interesting when they try to roll out this whole global universal tax, because then you can't have Bitcoin because everyone will just go to Bitcoin then.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So they wouldn't be able to be taxed, right?
That's a good point. So this global universal tax thing is crazy, man. Like, that's like we used to be like about like spreading freedom throughout the world. Now we're just spreading slavery, like minimal slavery throughout the world. Like, here's the minimum amount that your people can be slaves.
Gosh, you're so right. So right about that. Oh my goodness,
it's so
That's
crazy.
Too depressing.
So, it is very depressing. But this is the problem with Bitcoin. Like, for something that is, I mean, the price of Bitcoin is pretty outrageous. It's very expensive. It's amazing that it's gone so high, in my opinion.
Is it still like 40,000 right now?
It was at like 60,000 the other day.
Really?
So it's probably like it's probably over 55 right now. I don't track it.
58,022.
That's ridiculous. That is so ridiculous. Okay, so this is like a lot of people own Bitcoin, right? A lot of people own Bitcoin. A lot of people like Bitcoin. But to me, it's so insane about this is that the market capitalization is so high, and yet it's still like not wild to think this is all just a scam from China. Like, shouldn't we know what it is? If the market cap is so high, like, shouldn't we have a pretty good idea of what it is?
I guess not. Why not?
I guess not. I guess
it's when you know what you have. The unknown is better. It's a better option, really.
I guess that's actually a valid point, Matt. So it's like, you know what a dollar is, and so you're like, I prefer something that I have no idea really where it came from.
Right. Yeah.
I know where this came from.
I know where this came from, and it ain't good. So I'm going to take my chances with this unknown. Seriously, that might be it.
That's so crazy, though, because the major people have these wild speculations about Bitcoin, and it's just so crazy to me that it's just so controversial, even as the price is so high.
Yeah, it's so high. Don't know where it came from, who's watching you. If it's one big trap.
It's still so volatile too. Like everyone was always saying that the higher the price goes, it's going to be less volatile. That's definitely not worked out.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, I don't think it's ever going to stop being volatile unless it gets tied to some asset.
Right.
But that's
unless you somehow figure out who made it. Why did they make this? What is it actually doing?
Right. Yeah, exactly right. So Michael has a question. Why would China try to devalue the dollar? Our government is doing just fine on its own. And I totally think that's China's working too. I'm a firm believer that China has completely controlled our government. They even bragged about it, said they've controlled everyone in Washington except for Trump. They said that a couple of years ago. And so I think all of these policies are financed by them.
So let me ask you this, because I heard somebody say that China probably wouldn't want to be the reserve currency because being the reserve currency like ruins your country a lot. What do you think about that? Do you think they want to be the reserve currency?
Yeah, I don't think they would necessarily want to be the reserve currency, because until they stop becoming the producers of the world. I think when it starts flipping, where they're starting to bring resources from other countries, that might change. But I know that they don't want us to be the reserve currency.
Definitely,
and it doesn't have to be China, right? It could be something else. Maybe that's why they're trying to prop up Bitcoin. Maybe they just want things to go to Bitcoin.
Maybe
they would rather have that because their goal is to become the superpower. So whatever it is to get into that state, they're going to be doing, and they do play a long game for that. So
that's true.
Yeah, and so that's why they want to devalue. I mean, they're even talking about taking us out of being the currency and have Russia and China trade strictly in their currency. So,
which they probably could do without any problems.
Part of the communist takeover.
Yeah. It's insane. Hey, did you see we got a super chat here? This is what Nathaniel says. Why don't you put it up on the screen?
All right, let's do it. Yeah. It's time for churches to stop requiring pastors to have degrees from these big box seminaries. Instead, encourage IOPT. I love it. $4.99 support. Thank you. And you're giving a shout out to the Institute of Public Theology, which if you want to find out more, you can go over to founders.org. That was a twofer. Thank you, sir.
It's a good advertisement, but it's also a question. And I'll say it's long past time. Churches should never require a seminary degree. Obviously, they need to show themselves approved. They need to, be examined in some way. But a seminary degree is totally not necessary biblically, so it shouldn't be necessary for us in our context. It's very helpful, but definitely not a requirement.
Yeah, and honestly, if I was on, I don't know who hires pastors in the Presbyterian circles, but if I was like, let's just say a board, a group of people that were responsible for hiring a pastor.
Probably a committee of some kind.
A committee. If I was on a committee and they had a seminary degree, it would almost be like I was hiring a CEO and they had a feminist degree at this point. And I would just be really critical. And I would have to do a lot of research from any seminary they come from. And it's like, what have they been teaching? What were your pastors? What were your professors? What did you write on? Because, they're all kind of suspect at this point, and that's why I've been part of IOPT. Is there really any seminary you can't trust anymore? Like, even in California, there was the conservative school, Biola, and they had Talbot University, which was the conservative contrasted with the liberals. And now they're as woke as anyone else. It's like, I don't know if one seminary I could recommend to anyone right now.
I'll tell you right now, I might know somebody, that's all I'll say, who is in some kind of a HR function. And when this person sees on the resume something like that, like, women's studies or, something like that, it's definitely a knock as opposed to an asset.
Right.
It's a liability for sure. So yeah, it's interesting that you say that because it's almost like when you interview, like maybe you still interview them, but like, you really want to get to the bottom of how much did they screw you up?
Well, yeah, like you have two kinds of interviews, really. There's an interview that you really like the guy going into it. Maybe you had a few phone calls beforehand.
Yeah.
And the conversation is more like casual. Like, I want to know how you are as a person, not like scrutinize your background and your credentials and how much you know. Like, and then there's the people that you don't really care for, so you're just going to critique and criticize the interview. Like that, those are the only two interviews I've ever been a part of, either giving them or receiving them. Either I knew I was getting the job because they were asking me about my hobbies, or I knew I wasn't getting the job because they were asking about my SQL coding or something like that. But if I got from a seminary, like somebody from a seminary, I would be critiquing the heck out of them and asking them all of those questions of, what do you think about being woke? Are you okay with being white?
Definitely.
If you're white, like,
definitely.
And like, do you favor segregation in the sanctuary? Like random questions.
You have to ask them those hot button questions because those are the ones that the seminaries train you either incorrectly or they train you to weasel. And those are the two things you need to avoid big time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whether it's the woke stuff, whether it's the feminine, whatever it is. But I appreciate that advertisement because that place is going to be awesome. That Public Theology, Institute of Public Theology, because they're actually the inverse of that. In other words, they're directly addressing those areas that the seminaries teach you either wrongly or teach you how to weasel out of. That's what their whole purpose is. Am I wrong about that?
Nope, that's exactly right. That's
It's
exactly
the inverse
right.
of seminary.
It's the inverse. That's yeah. We're actually teaching people how to apply their theology in life, not just to BS your way through it.
It's like shorting the seminary market. You're like shorting the seminary degree.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. Oh man, it's gonna be so good. But yeah, but I would still interview someone who didn't have a degree, but it would be almost like a podcast interview where I would like want to see what they think about things and kind of push back and like have a natural conversation. It wouldn't be, okay, how do I see if they've been programmed the wrong way? It would just be, okay, so let's talk about your theology. Why do you believe this way? What do you think about scripture? How would you handle these situations? It would be a completely different interview whatsoever.
Shorting the seminary market. That's a good one. I'm going to use that.
Should that be title of our show? I think that's good. I'm gonna use
Like,
that.
do you want to be a pastor, but like you feel so negatively about the seminary that you would short it if you could? Well, here's how you do it.
Yes. Are you worried that seminary is going to be the hardest part of ministry? come to IOPT. Do you not want to feel guilty about being white? Come to IOPT. Oh my goodness.
What else you got going on here?
You know what's interesting? Speaking of whiteness and stuff, a lot of hate crimes. No, I hate saying the word hate crimes, but I should say partiality crimes have been going on from black people. Like all of these Asian crimes that they've wanted to blame on white people have been black people.
Yep.
And even like these things where they're trying to set up the white people with the Nazi symbols and all that stuff are these black people that are doing it. And I find it really interesting because I've heard from black people as well that black people can be super racist. And I just like, it's sad because we've been so focused on white people being racist, and we should call that out. It's wrong. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But like, we've excused it from so many other people, and we're seeing the fruit of that now. We're seeing the like punch, like old Asian ladies are getting punched in the face. Like it's almost, I think it's a game actually online or something where you try to punch Asians in the face, and I've only seen stories where it's been black people. And like, this is where this crazy theology comes. Like, this is the logical conclusion. If black people can't be racist, then you can go around punching anybody you want just because they're not black. It's so discouraging more than anything.
So, you know, every race has people in it that are savages, that are going to act like savages and punch old ladies. You know what I mean? Like every ethnicity has that. And we need to be able to address it no matter what. Everyone, if you tell them that, will be like, right on. Of course. Yeah, absolutely. You got to do that. But in practice, they definitely won't. And there is people, you know, woke white people and maybe even some non-woke white people are scared to death to criticize anything about certain ethnic groups. There's a few of them. Blacks are one of them. Jewish people are the other, because the minute you start saying something about a Jewish person, well, what are you, an anti-Semite? What do you hate Jews? Like, no, I just don't like the ones that are jerks. You know what I mean? I don't like the ones that act like savages. That's what I'm against. Just like I'm against the Latinos that act like savages or the whites that act like savages. So like, that's the thing. But there are like certain protected groups that you cannot criticize. Otherwise, you're criticizing the ethnicity. And that is a big problem because, yeah, sure, not all of them are going to act like complete savages and punch old ladies in the face, but they are going to do other kinds of stuff that is also damaging to them and others. Like you see, like these woke gone wild pastors who are speaking racist epithets from the pulpit, and nobody says anything. And are like they've got hatred in their hearts towards white people, but nobody says anything because they're scared to be called a bigot. So like that person is hurting themselves and everyone around them, and they're just allowed to run rampant. So yeah, sure, they're not all punching the old ladies in the face, but that fear to criticize a black person or a Jewish person or whoever it is, that actually does a ton of damage. And of all people, Christians should not have that fear at all. We need to be calling these people out for their sins, and it's just that simple.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, it's funny because I only brought that up because I was thinking about all of these stories, just doing some research for the show, and I was listening to your show talking about being brainwashed, and you were talking about, I think, specifically with thinking cops were going to be violent with you, and you were scared of them, right?
Yep.
But I was thinking, man, I can't even talk about this because I'm going to, just like, not even that I'm scared of people calling me a racist. I mean, I've been called every single thing. I've been reported to the FBI for being a pedophile, for all that stuff. It doesn't bother me. But there's this gut reaction like, oh, I can't go there. I have to like walk myself through it.
Yes.
It's so crazy.
You know it's bogus. You know it's ridiculous, and yet it still has an impact on you. And it's hard to escape that. Like, there's no reason that I should have thought that cop behind me might be the kind that would just pull me out of the car and beat me for no reason. But for some reason, there was a fear there. Even though I know how preposterous that is, there's a fear there. So if you lie long enough, even as you deny the lie, you still absorb some of it. That's why they continue to lie, even when it's preposterous.
Absolutely. And the people that you're doing the most disservice to are the people that are doing these crimes. Like if you're not or crimes or thinking or thought process or whatever it is, sins, is if you are too scared to call them out to repentance and to say they're doing wrong, hold them accountable, they're the ones being hurt the most. Well, in most cases. I mean, like there's that case where, I don't know if you saw it, where those two black ladies, I think they're like 15 and 17 or something like that. They tasered a Uber driver from India.
I heard about it. I didn't see that. Yeah, but I did hear about it.
They killed him. They tried to steal his car. They tasered him. And because they tasered him, I think what happened, I'm not sure, but like your body like does a taser like stiffen up thing. I think he hit the accelerator. Yeah. So he hit it for whatever reason. The car took off and hit the side of some concrete barrier or something. I can't remember in the car, and it killed him because he was halfway out of the car. And the girls walk by him to find their phone, not even phased that they killed someone just then. Like there's no reaction. And it's not just that event, but all the things that led up to them getting away with things and thinking a certain way, to think that that was okay, and to a point where that wouldn't even faze you as a human, that you just killed another human and you're more worried about losing your phone. But this is the thing that really is the kicker for the story, and why our society is harming these people so much, is that they got off and they're like they got some plea deal where they're not even going to jail.
What? Like how? What did they plead to?
I don't remember what it was. I just remember that was the outrage. They didn't even get jail time.
It's insane.
They got probation.
Insane.
Yep. And like when you don't get dealt with justly, it hurts you.
That's
and
this
family.
That's a woke
this
justice
Uber
for
driver,
you.
man. It's terrible.
Insane, my friend. Insane.
It's insane. Well, I got some kudos on your show from today. Edward said it was a great show.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate it.
Austin said he was from Pakistan. Was he really? I don't remember that. Or maybe that's another conversation. I thought he was from India. It could be Pakistan.
It's very close to India, Pakistan.
It's very close to India. That's right. Someone was saying something like, I don't know if I should go to law school or seminary. I think I would not like both of them. I have to say that I just wanted to say this. If you're thinking of law school, if you hated high school, do not go to law school. Every attorney that I have ever talked to says that law school is just like high school all over again with just as much drama. So if that's an indication to help you as you navigate your decisions, I recommend that, to consider that. All right, what else? Gun control, all these different things. I think that's a good place to stop. Let's just stop right there. Unless you have anything else, or anyone else has anything to say.
I think we're good. I mean, we're right at the half hour. We've done a full show.
There we did.
We've done our duty, Matt.
All right, great. Thank you for everyone supporting us on patreon.com/reformgelical. You pay the bills. Thank you so much for the super chats. And if you missed the show, you can check it out Friday wherever you listen to podcasts, or YouTube if they keep it up. Otherwise, join us Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. We'll talk to you next week. God bless.
God bless.